everyone, and welcome to a new episode of I've Been Playing. Today we're talking about the Forgotten City. Now, as a warning, the game itself told me to warn you of spoilers past what it calls the White Hallway, which I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I can kind of guess, and this is your warning, I suppose. There are going to be very mild spoilers. I'm not going to get into too much detail, and also I don't have any gameplay from beyond the first maybe 10 to 15 minutes of the game at tops, but consider yourselves warned. The Forgotten City is an adventure game, kind of a mystery-solving adventure game that originated as a Skyrim mod. This occurred several years ago. I want to say something like 2017 or 2018, something like that. And this full-fledged game on its own, in its own right, released in 2021. Though you can definitely still see the Skyrim influences and where it came from in some of the animations and stuff like that. Not that they ripped it from it, because I don't think they did, but you can tell that's kind of how it originated. Again, I'm not going to get into much detail about the story because it is essentially a mystery game and you're investigating the mystery, so there is a lot there that I could spoil for people that I do not want to spoil. But what happens is that you wash up on the shore of a river, you meet someone on the banks of the river who is looking for someone else who supposedly went into these ruins and has not come back. So they ask you to go into the ruins to find this person, you go into the ruins, and time travel happens. I don't think that's a spoiler because I'm pretty sure it's like directly referenced in the image for the game itself, but there is some time travel stuff going on. And essentially the mystery comes in from, as you wander your way through these ruins, making your way to the time portal, there are clues and notes and hints about whatever happened in this underground city. Did I mention it's underground as well? In any case, what happened to make everything go wrong and turn into what it's turned into. So immediately upon arrival, you're tasked with solving the mystery of why it ended up like that. And you keep hearing references to this thing called the Golden Rule. That is where your story starts, and that is as far into the story as I am going to get, because a lot of the gameplay at this point tasks you with talking to everyone in the town, gathering information, finding suspects, accusing people, and just generally trying to solve the mystery of the city. And there's kind of one main mystery, but of course you can also help other people and figure out other layers and what else is going on. So there are multiple things you can do in addition to trying to figure out the one main thing that happened to this town to cause it to go all wrong. So that's a lot of the gameplay. As I said, a lot of it is dialogue. It's very dialogue heavy, very narrative. A lot of deduction is needed on your part, and a lot of piecing together things, a lot of careful finding of connections, and trying to get specific outcomes and things like that, and seeing how that changes what happens in the town. Thankfully, if something does go horribly wrong, which at least once I think it is inevitable that it will, maybe not, I don't know, but things will probably go wrong and you start over again. So it's not like a one and done kind of a thing. You have multiple chances, and you can of course use the information from previous time loops to help you in whatever current one you're in. It's just kind of a matter of collecting all this information and using it in the proper order at the proper time, and making sure you have everything to make absolutely sure that you know what's going on. Another thing that I mentioned that you can notice is that you can definitely tell it was a Skyrim mod first. The movement, the dialogue tree or menu looks very similar to Skyrim. Obviously it doesn't look the same anymore, they've made their own environment and assets and stuff like that, but there is still, again, that kind of basis that makes it look a little bit like Skyrim, even though it doesn't look like Skyrim anymore. There are on occasion some texture issues, but considering how small I understand the team was and what they were working with, and especially since it came out in 2021 and it was hard to get anything out the past 2.5 years, it looks very, very nice. It's very pretty, and it runs quite well for the most part. Every once in a while, if I go too quickly, there is a bit of a loading time, so it does stutter when I get too far ahead of where the game is ready for me to be, but in general it runs perfectly fine. If I would just slow down and take my time, I wouldn't have that problem. Which is something you should do with this game, because it's a mystery game. You can't really rush through it, and I shouldn't be rushing through it. There was just one part in particular where I wanted to get out because it was scary. There's not much in the way of combat, and that will become extremely obvious when you kind of play for yourself and see exactly what it means by the golden rule, although me saying that may give you a hint. So don't expect to be fighting very often. You will get a means to defend yourself eventually, but in general, not a good idea to rely on combat. A lot of what you're going to be doing is trying to persuade people via speech, of course. So some people it gets a little easier to persuade them with stuff after you've gone through a loop or two because you know what will work and what won't, or you'll know additional information. So there's a lot of that. It's almost like you have to be taking notes in a notebook for yourself while you're playing the game. So it's very important to pay attention, and it's very important to take your time and actually think about what you're doing. I definitely recommend it if you enjoy these types of games. Obviously it's not a point and click, but it does kind of have that feel to it, almost, because it is, at heart, a mystery to solve. It feels more like that, even though there is a little more exploration, and it's first person, and it's very intriguing. You definitely want to find out what happened so that it doesn't happen again, for multiple reasons that I'm not getting into. If any of this sounds interesting to you, it is available right now on Xbox Game Pass, where I am playing it. It is also available on every other system as well, so you can find it anywhere if you want to play it, and I definitely do recommend playing it, especially if you have Game Pass. And like I said, if you like these types of games, I think you'll enjoy this. And there you go, that's the Forgotten City. Now, admittedly, I have not gotten to the end of the game yet. I have been playing for a few hours, and it's not a particularly long game, I don't think, especially if you know what you're doing. But if you have played it or are interested, please let me know down in the comments down below. If you have any thoughts or anything you'd like to see me play at any point, please put that in the comments down below as well. Leave a like if you enjoyed this, and consider subscribing if you're not subscribed. I do one of these every Monday that I'm able to play a new game, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff you can check out on my channel right now. So I hope to see you later, and I'll see you next time.